Sleepless beats.
In Zaga villages and beyond, young little girls are turned into moms deprived of a chance to get...
Hello and welcome to Tariro Talks. My name is Tapio Fortunate Shanaka Tawisha. Tariro Talks podcast is a series, the ultimate hub of youth power and possibility. Here we dive into the heart of what matters to young people: healthy and well-being, entrepreneurship, leadership, and youth-driven action in times of disasters. We spark conversations that inspire, conversations that empower and equip the next generation, not just to be resilient, but to be fearless, to be inspired, to be healthy and ready to drive a sustainable future. So together we explore stories, ideas, and solutions that shape a brighter future for young people. And today, we confront a devastating truth: gender-based violence. This is a global epidemic that shatters lives every day. And from November 25 to December 10, the 16 Days of Activism against gender-based violence shines a spotlight on this crisis and demands urgent action. The statistics are staggering. And according to UN Women, nearly 1 in 3 women experience violence in their lifetime, and 1 in 4 adolescent girls are abused by their partners. For thousands, the cycle ends in tragedy, with partners or family members taking their lives. Every 10 minutes, a woman is killed. This year's theme: every 10 minutes, a woman is killed. Hashtag no excuse. Unite to end violence against women. This is a harrowing reminder of how pervasive and normalized gender-based violence has become and how urgent it is to stop it. Behind each statistic is a life: a young girl forced to silence her dreams, a mother who hides her bruises behind a forced smile, and a sister whose story ends in tragedy. Gender-based violence is not just personal, it is societal, thriving in the shadows of cultures that excuse abuse, in systems that fail to protect, and in the silence that surrounds too many survivors. Now, to deepen the conversation, we are joined by 3 guests who will share their insights and solutions. These 16 days demand action, not just reflection. Every voice matters, every life matters, and every 10 minutes is far too many. Together, let's say, hashtag no excuse and unite to end violence against women. Let us welcome our first guest from Zimbabwe Republic Police under the victim-friendly unit, Constable Desire Matimbe. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Ta.
And our second guest from the Ministry of Health and Child Care. Welcome, Mr. Fortune Tawanda Gotori.
Wow, thank you, Fortune. How are you?
I am fine, sir. And lastly, another lady in the house representing Misasa Project. Welcome, Ms. Moblessing Mashoko.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for having us.
Okay, thank you so much for being here with us. Now, in the sense of understanding gender-based violence, over to you, Constable. What do you think is the relevance of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence and its relevance particularly to the youth in Zaka?
Okay, I came from an organization which has something to do with the protection of women and children in Zaka, that is victim-friendly unit, as we have mentioned earlier on. Our mandate as a section is to investigate, detect, and prevent all sexually related crimes, as it is in section 219 of the Constitution. Now that the relevance of 16 days of activism against GBV to youth in Zaka, as you see, youth in Zaka are not living in isolation from the global village. You see, 16 days of activism it's a global movement in which we commemorate from the 25th day of November to up to 10th day of December. So the youth in Zaka should also understand that they are connected to the global world, so they should take the opportunity to learn the education, the campaigns, the everything that comes within the 16 days of activism to condemn issues to do with gender-based violence in Zaka, and also from the statistics that we are in possession with as the police, Zaka district has got a high number of GBV cases. We receive about 30 to 40 cases of GBV cases in which the youth are constitute most of the total number of the survivors. So they should accept and take opportunities that come up with the movement.
Okay, well said. Thank you. Miss Mashoko, coming to you, would you be able to at least help us understand what gender-based violence is? Briefly unpack the concept. Kuti kana ndashava gender-based violence, tirumbonyatso kuti chi officer vataura vati munomuzaka maybe the statistics. We have a number of gender-based violence cases, but help us narrow down kuti chinombonzi gender-based violence chi.
Okay. I wanted to add on the relevance of the 16 days first, before I dove into the definition of GBV. So you see, Zaka is more of a rural community. Most of our youths lack a little bit of impact and education and exposure. It's very unfortunate that even these internet resources that we're using, some of them won't be able to access this podcast. So the 16 days of activism then help them to participate fully, because they're going to be given opportunities to then speak out on what is really affecting them. So I think even our VFU department, we're working closely with them. You're going to observe that as they're sharing the statistics, most of the people that are affected by GBV are youths, age gap between 15 to 25. So we need to let them participate and speak out. So the relevance then comes in to say, when the youths are then given a channel or a platform on how they can report those cases, they can then be able to speak out, which means that soon after the commemoration, we're expecting maybe high reports, we're expecting a little bit of change, and maybe even change in terms of community response as far as GBV is concerned. So moving on to the definition of gender-based violence, I think the simplest definition I can give is gender-based violence is just a manifestation of power imbalances, when there's not unequal power relations between people. It could be woman to woman, it could be women and children, it could be women and men, but mostly our society, especially narrowing down to Zaka, is patriarchal in nature. So as far as GBV is concerned, I can say maybe as far as definition is concerned, it's just a matter of a manifestation of an unequal power balances.
Okay. Well said once again, Mr. Gotori, during the conversation. What do you think is affected by gender-based violence, and which groups of people are most at risk of gender-based in the community?
Okay, thank you very much for sure. I would like to just give a sentence on what is the relevance of the 16-day activism of gender-based violence. Before I say that, I would like to correct the term GBV, that abbreviation. To me, it's sounding not enough. It should be sexual and gender-based violence and violence against children. You see, what we always do, or something that you did just before you came out of your house, you met your child and he had half the basin of sugar in his mouth, and you had to use the back of your hand like a racket on his cheek to beat him. That is violence against children. So the relevance is that the youths in Zaka, they're supposed to participate in this campaign, in the 16 days of SGBV and VAC campaign, so that they'll be able to understand what's going on, what's really happening in their lives. How are they living in their households? Are they being abused? Are they abusing other people? And if you come to our hospitals where we have the waiting mother shelters, you see that we have a lot of people who are described as children by the amendment of the section 70 of the Constitution. They are below 18, but they are populating and filling the waiting mother shelters. They are pregnant, these people. So if we give them the information and we allow them to participate, they will know that it's not yet my time to get pregnant. Yes, I am a woman. Yes, I deserve to be a wife, but in the future, not today. So that's what I have to say about the relevance of the 16 days. Then who is affected by gender-based violence? Basically everyone. From the perpetrator, they are going to have a police record. That is not going to make you live an easy life. As a perpetrator, you're going to run. Most of our perpetrators, they are harboring for refuge in South Africa. We think they are there because they are looking for money or something. No. In Zimbabwe, there are a lot of opportunities, but they are actually harboring for their freedom. They are hiding in South Africa. They are hiding all over the place. You see, all over the world, people are hiding. You think he went there because of this, but behind the story of the story, there is a perpetrator who is hiding away from a crime that he committed in Zimbabwe. Right. We have talked about the perpetrator who's not going to have an easy life. If you don't manage to run away, you're going to have a record. The victim-friendly unit is going to have you. The courts will have you. Then maybe you end up behind bars. We can also move on to women, adult women, those who are above 18 years. They are victims of sexual and gender-based violence. There is this thing they call marital rape. You can be raped by your own husband, but your auntie will not listen to you.
Not at all.
You go to your auntie and you say, my husband raped me last night. She will laugh. She will call your husband and you'll be a laughing stock of the family. Now you see. So we move on to the statistic that you say, the 1:3 in children and the 1:4 in every adolescent. Right. Young girls at an age from 0 to let's say 18, where the child ends. Young girls, everyone can be affected at any time. And the most painful thing is that these people, they are raped or they are abused by people whom they know. A neighbor who's trusted, Sarah Okani mwana wangu, that person can be a perpetrator. And we are talking about girls, even boys. People now, we have joined the culture of having housemaids. I'm not saying housemaids are evil, no. What I'm saying is just, you leave your young son with that person at the age of 5. People who are in psychology, they talk of the phallic stage, where the child, the son, looks at his mother and sees a potential girlfriend. It's just psychology according to Sigmund Freud. Right? And then a young girl sees the father and sees a potential boyfriend. But just because of work and we are busy, parents are not always there. So we tend to leave our children with caregivers. That caregiver can be a perpetrator. So the girl and the boy at any age can be affected. But mostly in our Zimbabwean communities, the people who are mostly affected are the 0 to 18 girls and boys. You leave your son with someone who takes care of the garden, the lawn and everything. Then that person might turn out to be to have a favoritism towards boys, the gay community. Then you might come back and find your son abused. So every time, whenever you come back or you see, just an advisory statement, whenever you see your child being jittery, it's good for you to take that child to a hospital or a police station. Let the professionals talk to them, to talk to the child. Then you see what the problem is. But mostly in our community, we have our women at any age, they are being abused sexually or gender-based violence. We have our children at any age, the girl child mostly at any age is abused, because people, they have a lot of different beliefs. Where someone can be told that you have got HIV today, go and have sexual intercourse with a 3-month-old baby for you to be healed. It's in culture. It's Zimbabwe. A lot of things happen, but I think I've just exhausted in a nutshell. I think that's enough for who is mostly affected.
Okay. Before I give it back to you, Constable, do you want to add anything else on who is affected by gender-based violence?
Yes, I would share. Most of my examples would be on the things that I experience as I've been working in Zaka. So when you do the mostly affected, it's mainly women, because due to where we are right now in Zaka, we find that most women really generally do not have power to speak out. They do not have the education that they really need, and also mostly the exposure or the privilege that we had when we were growing up. So these women then become the mostly affected when as far as GBV is concerned, due to those basic reasons. And also even the old age, the grandmothers. We have interacted with clients that come and they tell you that just because I'm old, people now think that I'm a witch. So due to the socio-economic apex in Zimbabwe, most women or young women are not getting married, due to the fact that maybe men are not quite stable. So if in a family maybe 7 girls are not married, they then say this old woman is the one that's causing it, and then they say you are a witch, and then that woman is then experiencing violence within the family, and then they come to us for other services that they might need. So generally women are affected as opposed to men in general, due to the ability maybe to voice out and maybe be able to fight for themselves. So, thank you.
Thank you. And I like that example of how women are abused despite of age, because when we're talking about sexual or gender-based violence, people tend to think people are being abused sexually, but even that one that you have given, just because I am a woman and now I am old, the family itself is abusing me. Coming to you, Constable, what are the types and forms of gender-based violence, and which ones are more prevalent here in Zaka?
Okay, thank you. I would like to add also on the group of people who are mostly affected first before I answer that question. Also in Zaka, we notice that girls who are of the age group from 13 to 17 years are also at risk from male adults who prey upon them. They usually fall into consensual sexual relationship with men who are of normally from 24 years of age up to even 54 years, and the 4 victims they become pregnant. They also drop out from school as a result of the abuse. Also, there are mentally challenged women. Each and every month we record a case, 2 or more cases of rape, in which mentally challenged persons had been raped by adults in the community. Also, children who are from child-headed families are falling victim from the perpetrators of GBV. Again, children who are staying in bush boardings, like those who are staying at Rudanda. There are children who are renting at Rudanda Business Center. Then at St. Joseph, there are children who are renting here in Jerera. Those children are at risk. At St. Joseph, normally each and every term we record at least 5 children, 5 girls who dropped out from school due to teenage pregnancy and sexual abuse. Coming to your question, the types of and forms of GBV and which ones are more prevalent in Zaka district. There are several types of gender-based violence, as Mr. Gotore has highlighted, that we need to view GBV from the point of even including sexual gender-based violence. So we have got physical abuse, in which people who are related or staying together, they abuse each other. he said that mostly the husbands would abuse the wives by beating them. That physical contact that will result to injuries or ill health. So we've got physical abuse, which is mostly prevalent in Saka, and per month we record about 18 cases of such abuse per month. We've got child marriages. In Saka district, this month we have recorded about 5 cases of child marriage in which children under the age of 18 years got married, and the parents would accept lobola from the perpetrators, and they would cover up the cases. They would make sure that the cases will never be reported. So we also have cases like rape. We receive per month at least 11 cases of rape in which the survivors age ranges from normally from 5 years up to 17 years. Another form of GBV that we are recording at Saka is aggravated indecent assault, in which we have got a case whereby a minor based at Belzon Mine was approached by other male perpetrators who are also minors at Belzon Mine. They accused that men for coming from Gutu and mining in their fields. They then dragged that survivor into a bushy area. They took turns to assault him before they sexually abused him. One of the perpetrators made him to bend down, and he had anal sexual intercourse with the survivor without his consent. After that, they kidnapped him and went with him to the mine. He later managed to escape and filed a police report. So those are other types of abuse that we are handling in Saka. We are also informed that men also fall prey to the perpetrators of GBV. Men also are also perpetrators of GBV, as we have experienced in this case. Also, we have got emotional abuse. We are also receiving cases of emotional abuse, though as police we have got little power to deal with them. We often refer these cases to Musasa projects, where we are assisted by Miss Moby, who always deal with these type of cases, in which the perpetrators would resolve to emotionally abuse their spouses. Normally, women are falling victims from men. Usually, men would abuse their spouses by engaging in extramarital affairs. Then they would not support their families, leading to emotional abuse. So these cases are not criminalized in terms of the Domestic Violence Act, Chapter 5.16. So we usually refer them to other partners like Sasa projects and to the civil court. They then assist survivors with the protection orders for relief. We also have economic abuse as a form of GBV. It is prevalent in Saka. Most fathers in Saka usually dump their children. They go to South Africa. They don't look after their children and women. Hence, the mothers would fight alone to to send their children to school. The husbands would be working and having some income, but they choose not to support their families, which is economic abuse. Normally we refer these cases to civil court and Musasa projects. Maybe Miss Mobi will add some finer details on this type of abuse. We also have sexual intercourse, people who are having consensual sexual intercourse with young persons, where young persons are persons under the age of 18 years. They are adults who are engaging in sexual intercourse with young persons. Recently, we recorded a case of a woman who is aged 56 years, who had consensual sexual intercourse with a young person, with a young male person who is 17 years. She approached that boy and she asked him, "Mwanangu une musikana here?" And the boy replied, "No, mother, I don't have a girl." And the perpetrator said, "Zvanga zvakadii tifambidzane," and she began to have consensual sexual intercourse with that minor boy. We later managed to apprehend the perpetrator and send her to the courts. She was sentenced to 12 months imprisonment effective. Also, a larger number of girls are being sexually abused by adults in exchange of biscuits, sweets, and other favors. We also have indecent assault as a form of abuse that we are recording in Saka. Indecent assault is an offense. It is a form of sexual abuse that involves a male person who engage in a physical contact with a girl, which is a physical contact which will be regarded by a reasonable person as indecent, like caressing someone's breasts or touching someone's buttocks without a consent. Again, we also have ill treatment or neglect of children as a form of GBV that we experience in Saka. Maybe Miss Mobi can add some finer details.
On which type?
On emotional and economic abuse.
Okay, I fairly think that Constable did a fair job in terms of giving us examples and explaining the types of forms of GBV. Maybe I can just say, as far as emotional and economic abuse is concerned, we can see that when we're experiencing and having encounters with these women of gender-based violence, the survivors, we see that there's a little bit of a link between emotional and economic abuse, because when someone is failing or facing economic abuse, they are then affected emotionally. So maybe I'll say you can go. Okay, I can give back the officer to give us maybe the prevalent part.
Okay. So the most prevalent forms of abuse in Saka consists of physical abuse, as I had mentioned earlier on, that we recorded about 18 to 20 cases per month of such cases. Then followed by child marriage. They are also rampant in the district. Again, we also have a consensual sexual intercourse with young persons. We often record about 7 such cases per month. Rape cases, we also record about 11 cases per month. So those are mostly disturbing forms of gender-based violence and ill treatment and neglect of children. Most of the community that we are dealing with, is a rural community, and as a result of emotional and economic abuse, most women became vulnerable. Hence, they resorted to neglect and ill treatment of ill treating their child. They would vent out their anger on their children.
Okay.
Recently, we recorded a case at Chivata Primary School, whereby a woman who was being economically and emotionally abused by her husband would vent out her anger on a 9-year-old boy. She would resort to physically abuse that minor, and up until a time when the school head noticed that the child was lonely, and he inspected his body and saw that she had several bruises that were as a result of physical abuse, and he then narrated to the head that he was facing abuse at home. We picked the perpetrator, who is the mother. We then interviewed her deeply and noticed that she was pregnant, yet the father had dumped her. Then she would resort to vent out the anger on the child. So we also have ill treatment and neglect as rampant and prevalent forms of GBV.
Okay. That's well said, Constable Matimbe. My next question, I wanted you to talk about the statistics, but we can agree that you had mentioned you had already done justice on the part of statistics and the current statistic of gender-based violence in the Zaga district. Unless you have something else that you want to add.
Yes, I've got something that I want to add concerning
the statistics of gender-based violence in Saka district, and also you can add on the reported and the unreported cases.
Okay.
Yes.
So the statistics that I'm giving you are based on the reported cases.
Okay.
So we from the month of January to 30th day of June 2024, we did what we call a biannual report, where we compare cases that we received in 2024 with the cases that we received the previous year.
Okay.
So by 30 June 2024, we had 83 cases of GBV, 83 cases of GBV perpetrated against children. 83. So we also had 90 cases of GBV perpetrated against adults. So to add, we have got a total number of 173 cases as at 30 June 2024 in SAC. So we have not yet compiled the biannual report. We are going to compile the biannual report by 30 December. So we anticipate that by year end, after we have compiled all the figures, we would have handled about 286 cases of GBV in Saka district. And this will be the cases that we reported, that we've got records with.
Okay. So comparing with the previous year, are the numbers increasing or they are decreasing?
They are increasing. They are increasing. I think because we have got a lot of partners who are now into GBV, who are working in the communities, sensitizing people telling people, no, this is gender-based violence, you should report. So we think the cases are increasing due to sensitization that is happening in the community. And prior to this period, there was no much sensitization. Most of the cases were going unreported, and we are seeing an improvement in cases of, especially cases of sexual assault, where we expect survivors to report within 72 hours. Recently, we used to see survivors coming to report a case of rape that had happened 2 years back. So now we are seeing an improvement. Survivors are coming, reporting fresh cases as they are happening.
Okay. I think we should applaud and give shout out to the organizations that are doing the sensitization. Yes, because if we have noted that the previous year the cases were there and maybe there were many more, but just that people were not reporting. Mr. Gotere, will you take us through the consequences of gender-based violence to the survivors, the families, and the community at large?
Yeah, okay, thank you, Fortune. Consequences of gender-based violence can be severe or long-lasting. So the affected person can be affected either physical, either emotional, or psychological. Their psychological well-being won't be in the right state. So in terms of physical health consequences, we can come across someone who's got injuries. Because when someone is being sexually assaulted, being raped, it's not an easy task. The survivor does not want it to happen, but the perpetrator wants to force it to happen. So we'll come across bruises, we have cuts, we have broken bones, fractures, and even lacerations from knife cuts. Because some of these perpetrators, they threaten the survivor with a knife. So if the survivor wants to fight, then they might get cut. We have other chronic pain and disability. The kind of fracture that you have on that incident can come out as a permanent disability. From the day of encounter with the perpetrator to the rest of your life, you might end up a disabled person. Then some of the people are going to endure chronic pain. Because let me go to the male, referring to Mr. Officer Matimbe's example of the Chiromo guy. The Chiromo guy is not used or wasn't created to experience such
cases.
So from time to time, because the anus is meant to work frequently. If you use your mouth, you have to use the anus later. So just because it's used to work frequently when you go to relieve yourself in the toilet, and you are made to experience thrusting by a number of men, then you are going to have chronic pain, and it will always be a reminder to you that something happened to me, right? We are going to have some gynecological problems, such as pelvic inflammatory diseases, right? Just to mention, but we can start from sexually transmitted infections. We don't know. Usually perpetrators, when they come to sexually assault someone, they don't present a condom in front. They don't say, I've got a condom, we're going to protect. No, they just want to gain access to the canal. Is it the anal canal, is it the vaginal canal? They don't care. They just want to get access forcibly. And then we have increased risk of HIV and STIs. Because we do not know their state. So the risk is already very high for the day. And then we have unintended pregnancy, unplanned pregnancies. Just because you get assaulted. It doesn't matter if you are 35 and your family is crying that we want a grandchild, but not this way. If it's unplanned, then it's unwanted, then we have issues. Then after this just a physical manifestation that you are pregnant. But we end up having even criminal abortions from unplanned pregnancies. Because you are here, you are alone, maybe you are doing your bushboarding. Then you get sexually assaulted. You were threatened not to report, only to find out that now you are pregnant. You cannot go back to your family and tell them that I'm pregnant from someone who sexually assaulted me. So you start looking for
ways to
doctors from
From the back door.
Mutondo and Mutowe.
Mm.
You see? So when you find those illegal doctors around, they will tell you that, no, you can abort. Mm-hmm. Then we have criminal abortions, we have septic abortions. We will now, as the hospital, we will now start receiving complications instead of mere problems. Uh-huh. So we will end up receiving septic abortions where the criminal abortion wasn't successful. And it's now a matter that needs a lot of resources for us to curb the infection and treat the patient. And we also need a lot of staff, human resources, to attend to this survivor. Then we can move on to emotional and psychological consequences. What happens to you emotionally when you're sexually assaulted, or you've been exposed to a lot of violence, be it a child, violence against children. What happens to you? Officer Matimbe was just narrating a story about a boy who was facing a lot of violence from his own mother. Yeah. The one whom we think is going to protect, in this case, she was the perpetrator. So what happens to that boy? A lot of anxiety and concentration issues. Yeah. Whenever they find some quiet, they want to sleep. They just think in a sleeping state, that's their happy place. They're very anxious, very jittery. They are not able to rest. Just to rest and look at the sky, the stars, the sunrise or the sunset. They cannot do that. They always have something on their mind. They can go into depression. Victims or survivors of sexual and gender-based violence and violence against children, they're always depressed. They don't have a happy time. They don't know if it's correct to laugh. Is it correct to smile? Because they are victims. They don't know if their smile is going to cause anything that's good or anything that's bad to them. They don't know how to joke. They don't know how to be human. They are depressed. They are always in a dark pit. They don't know where to look. And they might have post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Just because they had the trauma some time back, you might end up seeing that even when they grow, there are people whom you meet in the community, and when you try to joke with them, you see the kind of reaction.
It's not a joke to them.
Now that you know Thai, you can go back and see some of your friends. You see that I think this is PTSD. This is PTSD. Because they were subjected to violence and trauma, low self-esteem and low self-worth. We go to an interview. Someone is very comfortable with not getting the post. They have low self-esteem. They have been told that they do not deserve to go higher. They are supposed to stay low. Something that our Zimbabwean, our Zaka mothers should be taught. Because schools are closing very soon. Reports are going home. You're going to see children being abused.
That's true.
Because when these people get home with their reports, maybe 4 or 5 reds in the report, a couple of failures, you see the mother will open the report, read the comments from the teacher. Those comments, again, they are forms of abuse. Because if the teacher writes he has no interest in education, what do you think the owner of the report is going to think about themselves? They're going to say, even the teachers, they know that I don't like school. Then the teacher will take that and say, in our native Shona, now we see that person will put it and wear it as an armor. When they get a red, they will be like, what's new? You know. So these people will have low self-esteem. They will not have the ability to speak out. As a result, if they are sexually assaulted, you hear about it when the pregnancy is about 6 months. They won't say. Because they are very judgmental. When they look at you, they see themselves saying it. Officer Matimbe abused me last week. No. Then she will say, you wanted it. Why did a renowned person like Officer Matimbe abuse you? Fortune abused me, so and so. For we know Fortune from the podcast. You are very low to be abused by such a person. So you see, these people who have low self-esteem, they have fear, they have shame as they walk, and and guilt. They judge themselves before judging their perpetrators. So they are guilty. They think their perpetrators had no issue, but it was their fault that they later on got raped. And they have difficulty trusting. Look at the statistics of marriages in Zimbabwe. Look at them. How people are getting married, how they are divorcing, how they are getting married and divorcing on a daily basis. People who have been exposed to sexual and gender-based violence and violence against children, they have issues trusting the next person. So when they come across someone to call a fiancé, they want to take the journey of the life, and they cannot trust that person totally, to give 100% trust that this person is going to be my partner for the rest of my life. They cannot. As a result, whenever they think, suspect, or just hear something, they take the other side. They are not able to go back to their partners, talk to them and get a solution. They just don't trust, and they are easy to go the other side. Now you see, then they have suicidal tendencies. You hear a child has got a history of being sexually assaulted, was raped. Then no one trusts a home, people call her names, no one, you see. So these people, they will think it's better if I die, it's better if I end my life. Then you see people committing suicide. Even in males, some of them, you get a case where it's indecent sexual assault, and an older woman confronts a minor, a boy. They engage in this unprotected sexual intercourse. The boy gets STIs. The boy is shy to say it to the next person, and young. They don't know where to go. So what comes next? We have gonorrhea, it complicates. We have what? Now the gonads are swollen and everything is going in any direction. Syphilis is also there, HIV is also there. Young men get sick. Now shy to his friends to tell them that I had such an encounter in life. The best way to solve things is better I die. You find a minor hanging by the tree. Then in Zimbabwe we are very spiritual. We blame the devil for everything. But the devil is walking amongst us. The perpetrator is the one who caused this suicidal thought. Then we go to social and economic consequences. These people, they have social isolation. A girl is raped. Then the woman from the next door tells her daughters, don't play with her. It was her fault. She lured the men to her so that she got raped. Now she wants to play victim. Don't play with her. We've been children. How many times have you been told by your mother, don't play with so and so? She's not good. She's not nice. She will teach you to be mischievous. So these people, they're going to encounter social isolation and stigma. It's now your fault that you got raped. As soon as you try some new fashion to look beautiful, even your own parents will be like, imagine, you can't even feel nice, look nice for yourself. As soon as you try to be beautiful, you have a case behind you. Okay, then we have loss of employment, education and economic opportunities. I am from the hospital, I'm a nurse. When student nurses come, the females, they are told, in the course of training, do not get pregnant. But who knows, last week before she came for interview, she got raped. She does not know how pregnancy sets in. She just thought I was having some sickness last week, now I'm fine, I can go to school. Only to be noticed 2 months later that you're pregnant. Then the ministry says you have to terminate the training. After you terminate the training, you go and you take care of your child until you win him or her off. Then you reapply to come back. Then this was the only opportunity that this girl had. Raped by a familiar, maybe an uncle, maybe you know, someone from the family, and the family had to sit her down and say, no, we cannot get him arrested. Remember, he comes here and he brings there's drought, and when someone brings maize to your home,
The breadwinner.
Yeah. Now you see. Then some of them are going to have dependents for financial support to the perpetrator.
The breadwinner.
Now you see, it's Mr. Rich so and so who is in the community who sexually assaults your daughter.
And he's helping many other people.
And he's helping a lot of people. Bless us. Mbinga. Even the father will say, keep quiet.
Yes.
Let me talk to him. 50 kgs of maize.
Now you're a source of income as a child.
So now, the assaults will now come repeatedly.
Over and over again.
Over and over. Whenever your father feels like, I think I'm short in the pocket, you go to the rich man and say, remember, I am keeping a wife for you. You can come and do whatever you want.
And give me money.
And you give me money.
Okay.
So there is a consequence here. Limited access to healthcare, social services and justice. Where do you come from? How many buses travel past your village? Just one bus which goes at 3 a.m. Yet you are grade 7, you are 12 years old. Can you rush and get the bus at 3 a.m. when you are busy urinating in your blanket? You are still young. But perpetrators do not care. So you see that their access of healthcare to such a person, it will need an observing and caring caregiver, a guardian, someone who can see, this girl, how is it your gait has changed? Step here, what's going on? Right?
Yes.
And at some time I thought the people who have got the culture of checking their girls every week, I thought they were crazy lunatics. No, they are right.
Yes.
Check your child, boy, girl, just say, hey, comrade, come here. Take off your clothes.
Yes.
Let's see. Turn around. Do a health assessment on your child. Even physical abuse, fighting, you should go to the school and ask them. My child was in a fight. For what reason? Why didn't you as school guardians see that my child is not fighting? Because we should not be used or accustomed to seeing our children with bruises, and because the next time you see a bruise from sexual assault, you think that he was in a fight.
Physical fight. Yes.
Now you see.
Okay.
As we mark the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, let us remember that every 10 minutes, a woman or a girl is killed. The 2024 theme, every 10 minutes, one woman is killed. Unite to end violence against women and girls is a stark reminder of the urgency of our collective action. Let us unite to end the cruelty. We must act now to prevent gender-based violence, support survivors, and hold perpetrators accountable. Together, we can create a safer, more just world for all. This song was made possible by Tariro Youth Development Trust through the Youth Resilient Activity funded by the United States Agency for International Development, USA.